No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Rachel Zegler wanted to quiet the storm, but the video she posted did the exact opposite. It threw gasoline on a fire already raging. In a now viral clip filmed from what looked like her bedroom, the Snow White stared into the camera with a mix of raw emotion and simmering defiance. She claimed that even with all the online hate, people were still showing up, still lining up to support her work. Her voice wavered between tearful sincerity and a sharp edge of defensiveness as she stood by her performance and criticized the relentless negativity that had shadowed the film from the start.
When I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
It was a plea wrapped in pride, a final attempt to steer the story back into her control. But the internet had already made up its mind. Within minutes, clips from the video were circulating like wildfire. TikTokers stitched it with reactions ranging from disbelief to comedy skits. "Excuse me, your curtain. Please allow me to help. Help from you. I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that. That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters. Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress, waiting for you to ride in on your high horse." Instead of offering the redemption arc she hoped for, Rachel had unknowingly handed her critics a gold mine. The hashtags told the whole story.
I win. The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
What was meant to be a fairy tale comeback had become a digital witch trial, and, in their eyes, the villain wasn't the evil queen. It was Rachel herself.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
Opening weekend numbers were catastrophic. Snow White brought in a meager $45 million, a number that might have been passable for a smaller indie film. But not for Disney, especially not for a legacy princess title. By comparison, The Little Mermaid, which had its own fair share of controversy, still opened at $95 million. For Snow White to pull in less than half that amount was a glaring signal that something had gone terribly wrong.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
And audiences didn't just skip the theater. They actively rated the film down. On IMDb, the film quickly plummeted to a 1/6 score, making it the lowest rated movie on the platform's history. That's not just failure, that's cinematic infamy. In what should have been a celebratory appearance, Rachel walked the red carpet alongside co-star Gal Gadot. The tension was thick. Please welcome Rachel Zegler and Gadot.
I'm a narcissist. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part. That people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
I say, if I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, a new storm hit. Political commentators began examining Snow White, not just as a box office misfire, but as a piece of cultural messaging. The term communist undertones started popping up in reviews and Reddit threads. People dissected the film's themes and dialogue, calling it anti-royalty.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her. And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, good job, Rachel. And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, and never forget, free Palestine. They flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Zegler to say, could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. Maybe you could save them for like your diary and your friends, but like maybe not, maybe just take the tweet down. And she wouldn't. And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue shitting on Snow White and the prince and young love and women who want to get married and Steven Spielberg, the executive producer of her previous movie, and white people who she claims wanted to know if she was really a Latina on her first movie.
Some conservative outlets argued that the movie's core message had been hijacked by political agendas, stripping away the whimsy and morality of the original in favor of ideology. Critics accused Disney of repurposing a fairy tale into a vehicle for propaganda, embedding heavy-handed messages in what was once a light-hearted, timeless story. All the goodwill that once followed her from West Side Story had vanished. Her attempt to modernize a classic came across as disrespectful. Her confidence now read as arrogance, and her effort to reclaim control of the narrative backfired spectacularly. What was supposed to be her breakout leading role had become the very thing that fractured her public image, and perhaps her entire career trajectory.